You put a gun to somebody's head. We're lucky you haven't killed somebody because that's the path you're on.
He pulls a gun on a 14-year-old kid and steals not only that kid's dirt bike, but also a small amount of cash from that 14-year-old. The PSI indicates that 14-year-old is so traumatized by this that he can't even attend public school anymore, Judge. When he was apprehended with that stolen dirt bike, there was a vehicle associated with this defendant. And in that vehicle were other subjects who had 4 firearms in that vehicle, Judge. And as if that was not bad enough, he goes on to brag about this criminal activity on social media. And if that wasn't bad enough, Judge, he goes on to taunt the victim of the UUMV on social media as well. Judge, he is youthful, I'll acknowledge that. He does not have any adult criminal history, Your Honor, I will acknowledge that. But Your Honor, what he has engaged in is beyond the pale. He needs prison time, in my opinion, Your Honor, and that's what we're asking this court to do. If somehow, in any way, shape, or form, the court's considering community supervision, we'd ask for shock probation, some prison time up front, and then shock him out on community supervision. Judge, again, this is just beyond the pale. And I think the PSI speaks for itself. Thanks, Judge.
Mr. Chopin, these cases for me with kids your age are so hard. And I have for a very long time tried very hard to give chances. But all of the guns and the riding around and I mean, so you're January 2019, you're put on January of 2019, you are put on probation, juvenile probation. You violated it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On your 7th time to violate, they finally sent you to TJJD, right? 7 times you were given an opportunity. You go to TJJD. Obviously, you're not there very long because you get out, and then in December of 2022, you commit an unlawful carrying a weapon, evading arrest or detention, and you're again put on probation.
This case begins with a serious and concerning situation involving a young individual whose actions escalated far beyond what anyone expected. What may have started as reckless decision-making turned into a dangerous encounter involving a weapon and a young victim. The emotional impact on that victim has been significant, affecting daily life and creating long-term distress. As the situation is examined more closely, it becomes clear that this was not simply a one-time mistake, but part of a pattern that raised deeper concerns about behavior and responsibility.
You're given another opportunity in January of 2023. So in this year, you were put on probation for a gun case and an evading case. While you're on that probation, after you've been to TJJD, you commit these 3 offenses while you're on probation. So none of it makes sense that I want to do better. And I mean, all this riding around with guns and masks and stealing, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Go to see in the jury box. I gotta think about this one some more for a minute. So what I've done, in addition to obviously just thinking about it and looking at all of this a little bit more, is ask and get any incident reports that you've had since you've been in custody. And Mr. Chopin, I appreciate Mr. Lewis and what he's done and the arguments he's made for you. And like I said before,
as more details come forward, the circumstances surrounding the incident appear even more troubling. Investigators reveal connections to other individuals, along with the presence of multiple weapons, indicating a broader and more serious situation. This suggests that the actions were not isolated, but part of a larger pattern of risky choices. Adding to the concern is how these events were later shared publicly, drawing attention in a way that reflected poor judgment and a lack of awareness about the consequences.
It really kills me to what I feel like I have to do to you young people. But we are in Jefferson County tired of young people running around here with guns. You put a gun to somebody's head. We're lucky you haven't killed somebody because that's the path you're on. You've had opportunities at probation, and unfortunately, those haven't worked. You've actually already had 2. You were sent to TJJD, you got out, you still committed offenses, and then you got probation again, and then you're here. So all this talk of I want to do right and I'm going to do better is just a bunch of baloney. The way you can't follow the rules in jail shows me same pattern. You can't follow the rules. So at this time, in cause number 23 DCCR 0993, I'm going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of unauthorized use of a vehicle. I'm going to sentence you to a term of 2 years in the state jail prison. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number...
Looking into the background, the court identifies a history of repeated opportunities given in an effort to guide better decisions. Over time, different forms of supervision and intervention were provided, each intended to encourage positive change. However, despite these chances, similar behaviors continued to occur. This raises important questions about accountability and whether those earlier efforts were enough to influence long-term improvement.
And these were all just open. So in cause number 23, DCCR 0991, I'm going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of evading arrest or detention with the use of a vehicle. I'm going to sentence you to a term of 10 years in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. In cause number 23, DCCR 0992, I'm going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of aggravated robbery. Sentence you to a term of 25 years in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. I am making an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. These cases will run concurrently, which means together at the same time. So I am denying the state's motion to accumulate, which is a gift to you.
During the proceedings, the judge carefully considers both the individual's age and the seriousness of the repeated actions. There is a clear balance being weighed between offering another opportunity for change and ensuring the safety of the wider community. The consistent pattern of risky conduct becomes a key factor in the decision-making process. It becomes evident that the situation reflects ongoing behavior rather than a single lapse in judgment.
I am going to grant the state's motion to forfeit the weapon, which is a Taurus Millennium G2 pistol bearing serial number TIP10158. I'm going to hand you, I need there should be an admonishment showing that I signed it. It wasn't a plea agreement, but I don't see one printed out. Mr. Chopin, I take no pleasure in giving out a sentence like this, but I feel like...
In the end, the court reaches a decision that reflects the severity of the situation and the repeated failure to meet previous expectations. The outcome includes multiple penalties structured together, emphasizing the seriousness of the case while still following legal guidelines. Although the decision is firm, it also takes into account time already served and maintains the individual's legal rights moving forward.
What I have to do is protect Jefferson County for people like you who have continued to show that you're just a danger and becoming more and more of a danger instead of learning from the opportunities that you've been given. You will be handed in just a minute a trial court certification in each of your cases that shows these weren't agreements. So you do have rights to appeal, and you can talk to Mr. Lewis about that. I hope you take advantage of any programs. You're still young. You're going to get out of prison, and you're going to be young still and have a lot of your life ahead of you. I hope what you do while
As everything concludes, attention turns toward what lies ahead. Despite the outcome, there is still an opportunity for personal growth and change in the future. Access to programs, education, and support systems can provide a path forward if the right choices are made. The final message highlights that while consequences are real and unavoidable, they do not have to define the entire future. What happens next depends on the willingness to change direction and make better decisions moving forward.
you're in prison is do what you're saying you really want to do, is get your life together. There's programs you can get out. You can have education when you get out. They offer that, and hopefully be a productive member of society instead of going down the wrong path that you've been going. All right, good luck to you. You can go back with the bailiff. We'll get those forms printed out.